The Red Scare was the fear of immigrants, anarchists, and socialists. There were multiple causes of the Red Scare in the United States. For example, World War I caused intense nationalism and hate for immigrants. Series of bombings across the country caused by anarchists also caused this fear as well. In 1919, the Communist Labor Party was formed. Progressive and conservative Americans believed that these labor activists were a threat to everyday society and that they must be destroyed. The main leader of this group was General Attorney A. Mitchell Palmer, who was determined that no Bolshevik revolution should be happening in the United States.
From 1919 to 1920, Palmer conducted a series of raids on individuals he believed were dangerous to American security. He deported 249 Russian immigrants without a true cause. The so-called Soviet Ark was then sent back to Russia. May Day 1919. This was a mail bomb plot consisting of 36 explosive packages designed to go off on May Day 1919, which created fear that a Bolshevik conspiracy wanted to overthrow the United States government.
On April 15, 1921, 2 employees of a shoe warehouse in South Braintree, Massachusetts, were murdered during a robbery. The police investigating the crime arrested 2 Italian immigrants named Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti. Sacco and Vanzetti maintained their innocence, but they had already had a strike against them, that they were anarchists and socialists. Just a little over 2 weeks after their arrest, they were found guilty. Many people, particularly fellow socialists, protested the verdict, saying that the 2 men were convicted more on political and ethnic prejudice than on any real evidence. Indeed, 4 years later, another man said that he had committed the crime with a local gang. Despite the appeal, Sacco and Vanzetti were never granted a retrial. When they were sentenced to death on April 9, 1927, protests erupted around the country, but to no surprise, the men were executed on August 23, 1927. They claimed they were innocent until the moment of their deaths, and scholars still debate the guilt and innocence of Sacco and Vanzetti, but there's little question that the trial was biased against them.
Then, just as quickly as it had begun, the fear seemed to dissipate just as quickly as it had begun, and the first Red Scare was over. The start of the second Red Scare occurred after World War II and was popularly known as McCarthyism after its most famous supporter, Senator Joseph McCarthy. In 1940, the U.S. Congress legislated the Alien Registration Act, also known as the Smith Act, making it a crime to knowingly or willfully advocate, abet, advise, or teach the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing the government of the United States. The events of the late 1940s, the trial of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, the Iron Curtain around Eastern Europe, and the Soviet Union's nuclear weapon, surprised the American public, influencing popular opinion about U.S. national security that led to the fear of the Communist Party of the United States of America.
In the same year, after Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, the CPUSA's official position became pro-war, opposing labor strikes in the weapons industry and supporting the U.S. war effort against the Axis powers. With the slogan, "Communism is the 20th century Americanism," the chairman, Earl Broder, advertised the CPUSA's integration to the political mainstream. So now fast forward to June 10, 1946, at the House of Un-American Activities Committee. There, former CPUSA members and NKVD spies Elizabeth Bentley and Whittaker Chambers testified that Soviet spies and communist sympathizers had penetrated the U.S. government before, during, and after the Second World War. Then, in March of 1947, President Harry S. Truman signed Executive Order 9835. This created the Federal Employees Loyalty Program, establishing political loyalty review boards who determined the quote-unquote Americanism of federal government employees. It also recommended the termination of those who had confessed to spying for the Soviet Union, as well as some suspected of being quote-unquote un-American. In this process of revealing the Soviet spy network, the political careers of Richard Nixon, Robert F. Kennedy, and Joseph McCarthy were launched. Later, McCarthy realized that there was little political gain from the process. With his newfound power, McCarthy started to advocate for the end of the Red Scare. Surprisingly, his effort was successful. So then on March 29, 1947, the Red Scare was over.